one of the things that people might be asking, and you kind of alluded to this earlier, like I'm a small business, not going to happen to me, doesn't matter to me, no one cares about me. But I've seen it happen and I've seen it destroy businesses. What are some of the risks, not from a Fortune 500 company, but from a small to medium business? What are actual things that can happen to them that would wreak havoc on their thing? And mostly for a lot of these businesses, it's going to be lead flow and reputation and with their customers, like what around that with their website, email, and domain, maybe even social media. What would happen if someone were to take control of those things, and what would the implications and risks for that business be? If I were to hack someone's social media or domain or website or email, what are some of the things that could happen to that business because of it?
Well, I mean, starting with the obvious one, you lose money. If you don't have backup of your data, if somebody got a hold of your data, encrypted it, stole it from you, deleted it from your drive, whatever they did, you no longer have access to your data. You don't have your customer accounts. You don't have your accounting. You're lost. It will probably take you weeks, if not months, to try to restore that from whatever other media you might have. Maybe you wrote it down somewhere. Maybe you have some handwritten notes. It's money. Compliance, right? If you if you take credit card, there are huge fines from PCI Council. PCI is it's a credit card people, right? I don't remember exactly what it was.
I forgot what the acronym stands for too, but the PCI compliance is basically like your business being able to take a credit card. I know there's one misconception for this, if I may interject. I see this all the time because I build websites. So most people, when they build a website, they may be using a SaaS software like their CRM or QuickBooks or some sort of accounting software to collect payments. Or maybe they have an e-commerce payment method on their website that they take payments with. And they think that other system, because that is PCI compliant, that it automatically makes them PCI compliant. And that is not the same thing. The software tool that you use might be PCI compliant, but that doesn't mean you are. If you have vulnerabilities, you can still break PCI compliance.
Correct. There are ways to avoid it, and again, this is we can probably do a whole podcast on PCI compliance for small businesses, right?
Maybe we will sometime. That sounds fun.
Yeah, I mean, I probably spent the last 5 years doing PCI,
Mm-hmm.
so I can talk about that for days. But each stolen credit card carries a fine. So if you lost credit cards and you, let's say, lost 1,000 credit cards, you might end up paying a fine to the PCI Council. Um, Actually, technically, you'd be paying fine to Visa or MasterCard because they're the ones that control the PCI. They're the ones that come up with the rules. PCI is just a governing body. Um, you might have to pay fine. It could be in thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. And if
Okay.
you won't, there's not really a penalty for it other than you can no longer accept credit cards.
Hmm.
Which you can imagine if online business that only takes cash check,
Yeah.
that's the end of
Well,
business.
I mean, honestly, most of the companies I work with are local businesses, but they still are forced to take card payments because that's just what most people want to do.
Right. I mean, who
Yeah.
cares cash? I almost never have cash in my pocket.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, most people just want to put things on credit cards. There's so many people that do. Okay, so stealing data, PCI compliance fine. What about like one thing that I see is like brand issues, like destroying your brand. Like if your website gets hacked and taken over, that doesn't really look good from like a public perception standpoint.
Right, a reputation damage, absolutely. Yeah, it doesn't seem quite as financially impactful, but it is because you lose business. You might in today's culture. I mean, if somebody posts something on your website because they took it over, and it's if they post something inappropriate, if they post something illegal on the site, that is you. You're responsible for your site, and in public opinion, that's you. You did it.
Mm-hmm.
You will lose customers.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Um, Not to mention that you might never be able to recover. You have to change your name, move to a different country, and move to South Korea.
Is that why you moved to America from Russia?
That's right.
Sorry, bad
Don't
joke.
tell me.
Bad joke. You just.
Don't tell me.
Oh goodness, that's fun.
But
Yeah.
yeah, there's other regulatory risks. I mean, brand reputation honestly is the one that I usually bring up
Is
after.
that brand reputation seems to me from not being in the hacker space, right? I'm not in your world, but from my perception, I would think that would be one of the bigger ones. Like, you think about, like, if someone's hacking a giant company, like, I don't know, like Amazon or eBay or one of these giant companies, right? The implication there is they can get all sorts of people, users, passwords, credit card data. They could steal hundreds of thousands of millions of credit cards. That's not going to happen with an average service-based or local business. That part's not going to happen, right? But there's still other things that could, right? They could still get customer lists, and they could start phishing schemes on them.
Right.
They could, you know what I mean?
If we go to some of the extremes too, I mean, you might face criminal prosecution. Let's say somebody took over your site, somebody took over your server, and they're using that as a jump station to do other nefarious activity. You might know you're not responsible for it. You can prove you're not responsible, but it will take you weeks, if not months, to prove it.
And legal fees and all that other stuff.
Right. You could get arrested. I mean, if somebody's hosting kiddie porn on your website because they took it over, you will get arrested 100%, and it will take you years to recover from that. So
the reputation alone might be non-recoverable, even if you legally come out. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, your personal reputation, because you're going to lose your friends and family over this.
I primarily work with contractors, but throughout my couple of decades, I've had other clients, mostly friends, that have been non-contractors. Like, hey, I know you do this, and that's not exactly what you do, but could you help me? I had a dentist website that I worked with over in Green Cove Springs, which is like kind of southwest Jacksonville. And they were friends of friends. So we did their website, we did security, all that kind of stuff. And then we were doing marketing for them for a while. And while they were our clients, we did all the security things that we needed to do. We kept their site safe, had backups in place, etc. Monitored their website frequently, updated their website all the time, had two-factor, random passwords, all the kind of basic security stuff you'd want to do, stuff that you talked about today. But then they decided they didn't want an agency, so they let us go. And okay, no big deal. Like 3 years later, they sent me an email like, oh my gosh, look at my blog. There was no joke, over 100,000 blogs on their website. And they all had links to porn, gambling, child pornography, phishing schemes. I mean, you name it. Like every other blog was going to something else nefarious. It was insane. And there was a local dentist that maybe did $5 million in revenue a year. Maybe.
I remember doing a penetration test on one of the clients in healthcare a couple of years ago. And as I'm finding a vulnerability on the website, as I'm breaking into it, I noticed that there's people already on it. Literally, as I'm logging into the site, I'm logging into the server through the cracked vulnerability. There are people on it already. There's hackers there already.
So let me get this right. You hack into a site and realize there's already hackers there.
Yes, and they were there live doing stuff.
That's fun.
So they found this vulnerability, and they're already on it. And so we had to shut it down, obviously. I mean, after some investigation, we found there was 6 threat groups from various countries that use that server as a jump base for a variety of stuff. So they share that information. Wow. They're like, hey, by the way, you guys want a free server? Here you go. Bob's Backhoe and webinternetservices.com. Here's user ID and password. Here's a backdoor created. They share it. They sell it. It's another commodity. Criminals on the internet do not have a lack of criminal activities. They will, if they can capitalize on it, if they can monetize it, they will.
Hey, if you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. If you're looking for help growing your contracting business, I invite you to join my free community. In there, we go live with amazing trainings, share resources and downloads, plus you get free help from me and from peers. That link is down below to join, and we'll see you in the next video.